Hello, everyone. Welcome to Casual Watch Talk Sunday Social. So we should have a pretty good show tonight. We're going to talk about some new releases, and then, of course, any questions or anything that we've missed, put it in the comment section down below. But why don't we do round the panel? We'll do a wristwatch check. Dave, you're in hot seat today.
What are you
wearing?
I have the Seiko Laurel 1914.
Oh, nice.
Oh, wow. Okay. That's awesome. I saw two of the originals in the Seiko Museum.
Yeah, it's pretty cool actually. It's not. There's a couple of little things that aren't amazing on it compared to the original, but that's Seiko for you. They can't help themselves. Every time they do a re-edition, they just have to make it ever so slightly worse than it was, and each iterative update gets a little bit worse. But the only thing that's really annoying is the little. There's a central seconds, but it's got a sub. It looks like sub seconds, but it's not. It's date. I just wish it didn't have that. To be honest, if it didn't have that, and it didn't have the power reserve, which is completely superfluous. But other than that, it's pretty cool. It's a lovely. It's tiny. It's little. I think it's 35 millimeters, something like that.
Which is still bigger than the. It's bigger than the original, but the dial is an enamel, is it? No.
Yeah, Shippo enamel, so it's Japanese enamel. So it's not quite what people think of enamel, because most folk when they hear enamel think Grand Fu, like vitreous enamel, but it's slightly different. But it's more like a porcelain rather than a enamel that we would see here. But it's a cool watch.
Awesome. Also, everyone, I've tried to fix some of my audio issues this week, but if let me know in the comments if for any reason I break up. But Pete, you're up next. What are you wearing?
I am wearing. Can't stop wearing this. The new Ulysse Nardin Torpillier. So yes, I've told the story of that. Just can't stop wearing it.
Awesome. Well, that's really cool, isn't it? It's great when you get a new watch like that. Mark, what you wearing?
I have the Omega Speedmaster Mark II racing dial, and this is the reissue, not the original one. But this is the watch that got me diving down the Omega rabbit hole.
Oh, that is my favorite. That's my favorite Speedy.
Yep, it's they were never that popular until they weren't available. But hey, but the orange and grey one, the racing dial's definitely the cream of the crop.
Awesome. Todd, you're up next.
I am wearing a watch that's already been seen on this channel, but now it's in a different house. It's the Seiko Speed Timer that was reviewed by Sam, and I just love it. This is a great quartz piece, Pete. You'll love it.
Yeah, it is good. Yeah, it is good. I'm glad it's gone to a good home. And then I'm wearing new acquisition. I finally got the old Grand Seiko, so very, very happy with this Grand Seiko GMT. With it looks black, but it's actually a green dial. Came the other day. Awesome. There we go. Oh, Bobby Legs, thank you very much for the super chat. Thank you very much. Very generous super chat. The kids are watching Free Willy, so I get to watch Sunday afternoon streams. Well, Bobby, you let me know if you want to join. If you've got any pics we've missed, I'll the link to the chat.
I know what Dave's laughing at.
What's that?
Dave's trying not to say. Dave's internal monologue. David, internal monologue.
Just don't think about that streaming Willy.
Did I say streaming Willy?
No.
You did just then, yep.
Okay. Well, that won't anyway, back to it. So we're going to do
derailed.
We're going to do yes, yeah. Don't make me have to edit it afterwards, because it's awful to edit it in YouTube's browser. Anyway, okay. Let's just say everyone to one. So John, hey. Jason, thanks for tuning in there. Bobby, thanks for the super chat. Bon Cruel, yes, we're having a cool Sunday. Pete's wearing a Pagani Moonwatch. Hopefully that's a troll. The watch, not Pete. Pete, we always love you in the comment section. Cool. Okay. Well, let's get started then. So we will start. Pete, you'll just have to give yours as and when we get round to you. So I'm going to start with Mark. So these are picks for new watches. Mark, Norqane.
Norqane.
Talk to me.
Neverest has been part of their line for a while. It's been through a whole bunch of design evolutions. 41 mil, Kinesi movement, all the good stuff that Norqane are known for. And they have these two special editions with, they look like cracked. It looks like the bezels are cracked or you're about to walk over lava. These are done to help support the, I think it's Nepal, for the Sherpa. So it's to help the children of Sherpa who die on the mountains. So not only is it in part of a great cause, but these Norqanes, I think are some of the best watches that Norqane have made in a long time. Those dials look great. And they are
look like
always built to a very high standard. But yeah, these are very good looking Norqanes.
Yeah, I'm going to murder it, but there's that Japanese thing. Is it called wabi sabi or something? Wabi sabi.
Yep.
Kintsugi.
Oh, Kintsugi. Yeah, where they fix it with gold. They'll fix broken things, but with gold.
Did you just say wasabi wabi?
No,
probably.
Wabi sabi is not the same as wasabi, Dave. Not at all.
What is wabi sabi?
It's a design. It's a design philosophy where you find perfection in the imperfect.
So I was nearly
it's
right.
Very Zen thing.
Nearly. Kintsugi is when you repair stuff with gold.
Yep.
Yes. Yeah. So it actually looks like that, which looks awesome. And these Norqanes are so well made.
They are. I keep. They always hover around the top of my must buy one list, and then something else comes up, that's either cheaper or more expensive. I've never quite managed to pull the trigger. I really should at some point.
Is this one of the ones that where the GMT hand is sort of bent up to float over the indices, or is the whole hand?
I don't think so. No, it's a fairly conventional system.
Okay. That was always a design element that kind of always threw me. I don't know why. It's just one of those stupid OCD things. This is a good looking watch.
Awesome.
And and the Neverest, at least for me, have always been the best looking in the Norqane range. I'm sure other people will have a fairly strong opinion on that, but for me, the Neverest is the most
It's
acceptable.
hard to not like it. I mean, it's very black beige, isn't it? It's very it's quite neutral dive watchy.
Yeah. But they used to have some really sort of funky 70s color schemes, the black with the orange, which I think is still in the range, but that has a strange appeal.
They've not done a dial that there's some of them are quite nice, but they've not done a dial yet that I've gone, actually, that's good. It's almost like they're trying too hard sometimes with the dials. They've all got textures or patterns. They've not just done quite a plain watch. But I think that's also, they're probably trying to avoid being overly accused of being a straight Black Bay ripoff.
Yeah, and that seems to have got worse once they got Biver on board. So that seems to be that happened with the really extreme ones after Jean-Claude Biver came on board, and it's sort of like, no, don't do that. Stop.
They're a good solid value proposition at the end of the day.
Yep.
Sam corrected me. It's the Manta that has that bent GMT hand. So Norqane's good deal.
Yeah, not me, Sam. I didn't know it with Sam D.
Yeah. Thank you, Sam D.
John, just let me know my vocal's slightly out of sync. Sorry, everyone. Okay, next up, Todd. This is yours. This is the SLA 073. Another one with a cool dial.
Very beautiful watch, and what I've always loved this case design. It's sort of like a Marine Master kind of thing, but I think it's smaller. The specs on it are at a 42.6 and only 13.1 thick. So it's I feel like I've never seen one in the metal, obviously, but I feel like that's going to be a little less chunky on the wrist than maybe some of the other Seiko divers. And of course, I mean, you gotta love a Seiko dial. It's just gorgeous. It's a thing for cave diving. I'm never going to go cave diving, but I would love to own this watch. At 3,000, it's a little pricey, but it's just everything on this seems just right. That bracelet is beautiful. I'm assuming it's a, like the bracelet on this one has that same sort of president style. Looks like it's going to be extremely comfortable, and I mean that watch on wrist looks like perfection as a dive watch.
Yeah, and I think it's got the good movement in it, hasn't it? It's got the
It's an
8L.
8. Yeah.
Well, there you go. Yeah. Okay. So we're back in the running with it. Yeah. I really like the look of it. Yeah, the bracelet's not too dissimilar from the Grand Seiko bracelet.
Oh,
that polishing and the brushing. No, I'm a fan of this. What does everyone else
think? Handsome watch.
Yeah, good looking watch. It looks like it's in that family, the Baby Marine Master family. So you're right, Todd. It's not the big monoblock case, so it's not like 15 mil thick or something. I've got another watch in that with that case shape, and they wear absolutely beautifully. So it'd wear fantastic. I wouldn't get shaken by the size. It's going to wear smaller than that, and it looks beautiful. Yeah. And it's always funny. It's always funny when people say they want Seiko to release less watches, and then I find myself saying, "Well, do you want them to not release this one or not release some other one?" It's like, well, pick the ones you don't want to see anymore. I'd rather live in a world where they just give us these things.
Yeah,
this is like the Seiko Hunger Games. Like, who has to die?
Yeah. Well, that's it. You say you want less, so pick the ones you want to kill.
Yeah. Even the treatment around the bezel, like for the grip, it just looks beautiful too, polished on the top. Like it's just every little bit of it.
That is a good looking Seiko.
Yeah. No, I approve of that. Not that it matters what I think, but I like it.
You're a YouTuber. You are all powerful. It always.
I am. I'm influencing.
Yes.
Okay, Dave. Next one. I hope I picked the right one here. Is this the one, the Khaki Titanium Auto?
Yep. Just, one thing you can never knock with Hamilton, as far as I'm concerned, is from an entry level perspective, you get a pretty solid value package for them. Whether you want to spend somewhere in the region of say $500 through to roughly $1,000, you're going to get something that pretty much does what it says in the tin. And what I like, certainly in the last maybe year or so, 18 months, they've finally begun to listen and releasing smaller variants of things they've had before. So a lot of these have typically always been, they do a lot of 42s and such like those kind of sizes, 41s, 42s, but they've done the titanium one in a 38, I think it is, and a 42, I think. So they're doing both sizes, and they're doing either this black PV coated titanium or a brushed titanium version as well, round about the $1,000 mark, in and about there, just under, just over, depending on what finish you get, with the titanium bracelet now on there as well. So I think these are a really solid little nice alternative to something like, a Seiko. Seiko seem to own that territory pretty much at the moment, but this is a nice little solid number in titanium, probably only grade 2, but not that should actually make a huge amount of difference, to be honest. But for the money, H10 movement in there, which is at the end of the day a modern ETA 2824, but it's all silicon, does what it says in the tin. Nice solid little watch for $1,000.
Awesome. And featured in the Avengers 2012, worn by Tony Stark, played by Robert Downey Jr., I think, from memory. Yeah, no, I like it. Yeah, I've never owned the Khaki one, but I've owned a few other Hamiltons, and they're always really well made. Anybody have any thoughts?
Nice.
Really good, solid. I think Dave nailed it. Great, solid watch. If someone was saying, I'm thinking of buying myself that one Swiss watch to either start or just own, something like that, it's just a bit of a no-brainer.
And like Dave said, there's such high quality watches for the price. I don't regret. I've traded away almost all of my Hamiltons on my journey, and I keep looking back at the ones like, oh, I wish I had that one back in my collection. Ooh, I wish I had that one because they are just such nice watches.
They've also got a real habit of dropping something really left field completely randomly as well. And at the time, usually when they drop it, everyone just kind of shrugs your shoulders and sighs and goes, "What is that? That is ludicrous. That's stupid." And then a few years later, you kind of get them and everyone wants them. I actually dug this out. It actually happens to be in my winder. This little thing.
Yeah.
I thought, that's not the green matrix one, is it?
No. This is not even a PSR. So this is a fully mechanical automatic watch with a digital, and it converts it to digital. So if I just put a bit of wind in it.
What?
Ding. There we go.
That's not an LCD, is that like it's
it's an LCD. It's an LCD.
It's a mechanical watch with an LCD?
It's a digital LCD display that's powered by a mechanical. It's not the same as a Seiko Kinetic, but it's got similar principles. But when fully wound, it runs for 140 days.
That's the logical development of spring drive. That's where spring drive is going, because that's
really
that's
cool.
amazing.
You know, and
absolutely
Hamilton did that. That's now 14 years old. I think it's 14 years old, something like that. And they keep doing things like that. They do so many just cool watches over the time. If you look at a lot of the ones they've done, for film, not just for films, but they've done various weird and wonderful and wacky things like the Mars watches and things like that. They're really cool.
Yeah.
And they're always a good pickup because they're usually pretty good value.
Yeah, I didn't even know they'd done that one. Before we go on, Canadian Watch Monkey, thank you very much for the generous super chat. Very, very grateful to receive. We've got 2 super chats and we're not even talking about Timepiece Gentleman. It's a winner.
Who's he?
Yes, very, very appreciative. Thank you so much for the super chats. Okay, so let's get back around to Pete. You're up next, and this is a very gold Breitling.
Yeah. These are a real stealth release. Breitling released the new B09 chronograph movement, the slimmer manual wind one. They made a big splash with the pistachio, which lots of people seem to like. And then they've released a silver version about 2 months ago, 3 months ago perhaps, and this gold version, or champagne they call it, with zero press. There's no press release. There's no coverage at all in the media. It could not exist as far as the media is concerned. I actually reached out to the local Breitling, PR folk, asking for some information about this watch, and they were very helpful and really easy to deal with. But when I said, why aren't you even, there's not even a press release, why aren't you even just sending anything out about these ones? And they said, they're selling really well. We're right on the edge of our capacity. We don't want to create a bunch of demand we can't meet. So we're just not advertising them. Mm-hmm. And I just, A, love the watch, and B, just really love that strategy of saying, this is one for the real fans. If you watch us, great, you'll know it's there. But apart from that, it's just really simple. We don't even bother advertising it.
Wow.
Which is really funny because all these people look at that watch, the original, the green, and they go, oh, I love that watch. If only it came out in other colors. And it's sitting there in other colors, but they don't even know.
Yeah, and that's actually more the color of champagne, isn't it, than actual, like when you say a champagne dial, it's more like a whiter, isn't it? But that is actually probably the close in color to the drink champagne, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, so that's my input for one of the releases of the moment. And like I said, I thought I would bring it up because you are now probably the first YouTuber to even mention it.
It is a good looking watch there, definitely.
It is.
Yeah, I totally agree. We've actually got a question coming in. I'm betting Dave must have 300 watches in his collection. That's a statement more than a no.
That's a challenge more than a question.
Okay, let's go. Oh, it's me. I might as well do me. Citizen, Tsuno, Chrono Racer. Here it is. This thing is awesome. Just let me show one second. I forgot this. Just 1 second. I'm gonna go solo layout for this. Look at this. This is a Pelican, completely gold Pelican box. Look, I mean, just you can't go wrong. So very kindly, I didn't. Citizen, they let me borrow this watch, so there'll be a review coming out very soon. But it's based on that original one, the Challenge or whatever it was called, the one that was in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood and so on. So this is their 50th anniversary limited edition of 3000. It comes in this awesome travel case as well. It's just I think it's just I'm glad that they've done it just because it is so kind of opulent and over the top for them. So yeah, this was my pick. And Eco Drive, they said it's a hand-assembled Eco Drive movement. So I don't know what that means or whether they're just adding that in to kind of, blur the lines between Grand Seiko and what they're doing with the Citizen watches. But so 50 years celebrating the Citizen Challenge timer. Comes on a leather with a deployant, a lug width of 12 millimeters. Oh, you got any 12 millimeter straps? 12, yeah. So,
what size is the case?
The case is it's multiple sizes, but this central bezel is 40, like a 41, but then it has this thicker part as well because it looks almost like it's a. Let me just go solo again. It looks almost like one of those like the Hamilton one where it kind of seats in a watch thing. It looks like that. It looks like this is like a pocket watch that's stuck in there. But no, it's multiple different finishes. I actually commented that it looks like the MB&F Mad one because of the dial. Yeah. And I can't edit it out now, so you're gonna have to agree with me on that.
It's starting to grow on me. Although when I first thought it was going to be much chunkier and bigger than that. Citizen sometimes makes a pretty big watch.
They do, and they actually, I think they've realised that people might notice that, so they put in that it's conveniently sized for all wrists. It is larger, but it is wearable. It is very wearable. So that was my pick. It may contain product placement, although they didn't set it for free, so I don't actually technically have to put that.
Starting to grow on me.
Yeah, I like it, and I've been reviewing it today. But the box, I mean, you can't go wrong with the box. It's like that scene from Pulp Fiction.
See, Dave's got a look on his face like he already owns this or something. He's got a very smug look. What's going on over there? You don't like it?
I'll pull a face for the thumbnail.
It is atrocious.
All right.
It is. It is that is a classic case of a Japanese watch designed by a Japanese committee.
But it is.
I think they're bold. I think they've gone quite bold with this. Do you not think that they've took a little bit of a risk?
That's one way to describe it. Bold.
I think he agrees with the boldness.
Yeah. It's a lot.
It
is a lot. Yeah, it is a lot. I was very glad to. I've got quite a good relationship with the Citizen people. That they'll send me watches for review. So they sent me that EcoZilla, which obviously is an over the top watch.
Have you ever seen like the Citizen watches? Like they're really restrained.
Oh, the Citizen, yeah.
They're gorgeous and restrained and held back. Every 6 months, they take those designers and put them in the equivalent of one of those smash rooms. And they say, just design whatever the hell you want. And so all that energy that's been pent up comes out, and that's what you end up with.
Yeah, it's true. The problem is they can't decide. Citizen can go from one extreme to the other. That's an extreme of like, just throw, like taste doesn't even come into it. It's just like, don't even consider it. But then at the opposite end of the scale, they have got ultra thin watches. They've got some really cool divers.
Yeah.
they've got some really classy other stuff as well. In fact, where's that? Is it lying about? Let me see. Oh, here it's here. I don't know why it's lying on my windowsill, but it is. Here's the exact opposite of that watch from Citizen.
Oh wow!
Yeah, wow.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Wow.
So between them, you've got 2 normal watches.
Exactly, but it's just like you think to yourself, why?
Yeah.
I think that whoever owns this watch is going to absolutely love it. I think I'm a fan of it, and that's I'm sticking with it. But look,
and I'm going to guarantee that
Aaron knows where
they're also probably going to be wearing a Balenciaga t-shirt. They're probably going to be wearing jeans that are at least 5 sizes too big for them.
Oh, I was going to pick jeans that have bedazzled things on the butt cheeks.
Juicy couture trackcity bottoms. That's what we're going with.
Shall we just move on before you ruin my relationship with Citizen USA?
Oh no! Look, I don't get me wrong. I love Citizen. That's just like, oh, man.
Yeah. Also, the Citizen is not available yet in the US. So, can you hear that? It's got an alarm. Can you hear it?
It could.
Yeah.
It's got an alarm on it.
Hopefully that's very much like a movie that says this will this will explode or this will self-detonate.
Like
this Citizen will self-destruct in 5 seconds.
Yeah.
All right.
It's either that Sam or the taste police are coming for you. But I must admit, I think it's great too.
All right. We're 3-2 on that. Okay.
Next. Yeah. So okay. So let's let me just podcastage. I think that I have got the right mic select. Oh, actually, it's switched. Hang on.
The problem is you can't hear yourself. See, that's the problem.
Hear me? Yeah.
Yeah. Turn the volume up now, Sam.
Right, is that any better?
That's much better.
This is the
now we have FM radio mic.
Right. Yeah. Okay. So so it must have when I refreshed it before to kind of start it again. Look at that. We're getting live tech support from YouTube's #1 audio equipment reviewer. So everybody subscribe. Thank you for that. Look, that's how good he is. You need to subscribe to his channel. Moving swiftly on. I did plan this show, Mark, and you guys are ruining it.
You should have seen how many times he had to practice screwing up his sound. It was a joy to watch.
Go on, Mark. Save me.
You have little faith. Longines HydroConquest GMT. I've been looking for another GMT, and I'm kind of stuck I was kind of stuck on the Mido Ocean Fort Pepsi, and then I saw this come out, and I hadn't really looked at the HydroConquest before. Weren't really my thing. Had horrible, oversized numbers on the dial and so on, and then they came out with the GMT diver, and of course, if you're diving, you really need to know what the time is somewhere else. But I don't dive, and I don't really need to know what the time is somewhere else. But I have to admit, these are really good looking watches. 41 mil by I think about 13 millimeter thick, so they're a good size. They're available on what looks to be a very decent bracelet, and they're with 4 colorways. So there's a green, a sort of brown / root beer. And the green and the root beer have gold hands and surrounds for the loom. And then there's a blue and a black, which are silver rather than gold, highlighting. And I'm really going to have to go and have a look at least the silver. I think the green and the root beer are perhaps a little bit too retro with the gold, but the black and the blue, particularly the blue, I think might fulfill my the gap I have for another GMT. I just fancy another GMT, and I don't have a Longines. It's got a decent movement with a 72-hour power reserve. It's a Traveler GMT. So yeah, I think I might just have to go and find one of these and see if I like it in real life. But it's very, very attractive, particularly the GMT iterations with the way they've done the hands and the indices, rather than just putting huge numbers on there. I think it's a very attractive watch.
So I've only just noticed this, but Bill's saying several people dislike the round indices at 6 and 9.
Well, they're wrong.
Bill,
they're wrong.
but why? What's the significance of that? Is there a significance, or it just?
Well, it's probably heading towards a dive watch heritage where you have to make sure the quarters are different. I mean, it's totally spurious because this isn't ISO certified or anything like that, but you're trying to say it's a diver, so you've got a triangle at 12, and then you've got some way of saying that the quarter hours are different as well. So it's heading back to the dive watch heritage.
So it would have one where the date was, that's why it looks weird.
And that's why it looks weird. And I think that's always the struggle with like having the date when you do that kind of dial setup, because something looks off balance.
I might have it might look better if the date was at 6, or I'm sure Pete's going to say 4:30, but it would look better if the date was at 6. So you just have that horizontal symmetry.
Yeah, I'd agree with Mark. It would look better at 6 and perfect at 4:30.
No, all the cool watches have the date between 1 and 2 o'clock these days. So hot off the press.
It's actually a great looking watch.
Yeah,
you can tell it's Swatch Group though. Where does that what does that bezel remind you of? I wonder. It's very Seamaster-ish.
Seamaster.
It does have that the slopey shoulders of the Seamaster.
Just the shoulders, but also the fonting on it as well. That the kind of elongated zeros, the squared zeros and stuff. But it's a great looking watch. It actually looks like, and I don't mean this in a bad way, a budget Planet Ocean.
Yeah. And also it seems that they've used thinner paint on the bezel. The Seamaster, particularly the black bezeled Seamasters, the white looks too thick for the bezel, so the numbers look too thick to be perfectly proportioned on the bezel. That seems to have sorted out that problem. I think it's a great looking watch. It's a
cracker.
It's about 2,700 on the bracelet in the US, so it's not cheap, but it's not massively expensive either.
Yeah, I also think that maybe like Longines has been a company of two distinct halves for the last probably 10 years. There's the heritage stuff and the new stuff. Mm-hmm. And if you like the heritage, you like the heritage, and you probably hated the new stuff. And if you like the new stuff, you like the new stuff, and you probably hated the heritage. But with the Spirit collection of a couple of years ago, they've started doing their first kind of merging of the two streams, and that was wildly successful. And I think they're doing something similar here. They're trying to make the HydroConquest, which was popular with some people, but a lot of people hated it. But by keeping it fundamentally the HydroConquest, but bringing in some kind of vintage cues, making it this kind of neo-retro, I think they're going to find a much bigger audience. I think this is going to be, I think this is going to be a hit, and B, a bit of a direction for where a lot of new Longines go. This kind of splitting the difference between the heritage line and the new line.
And it seems to me, at least with the 4 colorways they have 2 which look very modern, the black and the blue, and 2 which are that warmer retro tone with the green and the brown. And if Sam can find a picture of the brown, I think you'll see what I mean. That highlights that very well.
Mm-hmm. But one of the things is there's no historic reference in Longines catalog that looks remotely like this. It's not a heritage reedition of anything. There's nothing that looks like this in the past.
Which
it just reminds you of the old stuff.
And that kind of suits me fine. As you know, I'm not a big fan of heritage and heritage marketing. It's not something that drives a watch purchase. But that's not my cup of tea. But even I think that's a stunner.
The cracker. There's only one thing that's absolutely driving me insane. Why on the dial does it say 3-bar brackets 300 meters? That is just completely and utterly.
Yeah.
He was so close.
So
Big
close.
V
So
says
close.
they have been fitted with quick adjust clasps too. Maybe.
Yeah.
Cool.
Which is another good selling point.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's a cracking looking watch for the money.
Yep.
Todd, you're up next with the Pan-Europ.
I want you to click on the second one there. I changed my mind. There's the pistachio one that I like better than this one I sent you.
Oh, there we go.
Right.
Oh, we have talked about this one before, haven't we? Yeah, this has caught our eye before this one.
This is a very good looking watch. I have not seen this one before. I had a Pan-Europ in the chronograph, and I love the case shape of it. I loved everything about it except in the chronograph with that value movement. It was just a beast on the wrist. I feel like this one would be very comfortable. It's a great looking watch. As we've already kind of talked Hamilton up as far as you're going to get a fantastic watch for the price, and this is just so good looking on top of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, agreed. I've seen these. I've seen both of these ones, the pistachio and the kind of burgundy red one, and they are cracking looking watches. One of the very few watches that you'll get me to wear with a rally strap. It actually really does suit the rally strap that comes with it. And you get both with them. You get the rally strap and the NATO in the box, which is pretty cool.
Oh, that is cool.
I'm not a fan of the rally strap, to be honest.
Not a fan of it in general, to be honest, but it does work on this watch for some reason.
Agreed.
So James is saying, did the previous Pan-Europ have an asymmetric case? Well, actually, I think they've got this. This is the three-hander, I think, previous one.
I don't think so.
It's not.
It's not. Certainly not in the recent past. It's not been. These are just new color updates of the previous models.
Yeah.
They did a blue one and a green one. I think the green's been discontinued.
Yeah, it looks
that's
like
even such a great looking watch.
Let's just see if they've got any others. This Hamilton, I think it's this. Oh, there you go. There's the John Player Special.
Yeah, it's part of that kind of a collection. I think there's 3 or 4 watches in this kind of gold and black colorway.
Yeah, awesome, cool. Yeah, another great pick there. Next up, Dave, you had a Longines.
This is if you're in the market for a dress watch and you want something pretty classy that could pass for something that's significantly more expensive. Not that that's a thing, but this watch I think completely outshines its price point. The salmon one is nice with the black numerals, but see if you can find a picture of the black dial one with the salmon numerals.
Oh, there you go.
Where's the price point on this? That's a great looking watch.
2000 something, 2000. I'm sure it's under 2,500. I'm sure. But this is a stunning looking little dress watch, 38mm as well, so nice kind of compromise between relatively small but still got a bit of wrist presence to it. They kind of these engraved, so these numerals are engraved into the dial, and then they're kind of color filled. It's just a stunning looking watch. I think it's just super simple, super nice, and I think it smacks of a dressier Patek for a fraction of the price.
Yeah. That etching's really good, isn't it? The way they've carved that into the dial.
Yeah.
Have you seen that one in real life, Dave?
Yeah.
Yeah, because sometimes Longines in real life are a bit of a letdown, but
it's so good. The salmon one is if you want that classic dressy salmon watch with the brush dial and stuff with the black numerals, it's super classy as well. But this one, with this kind of it's almost like a frosted finish. It's almost like a kind of very gently bead blasted finish on the black. But the fact that the rehot ring on there is that kind of silver colour as well, it helps to make it look that little bit smaller. Not that 38 is a big watch anyway, really, by modern standards, but it just brings it in a little bit as well. Just think it's a super classy looking watch. And then that kind of black into grey strap as well. Yep, I'm not a dress watch person, but I would rock that quite happily all day long.
Was the salmon also engraved like that, or just painted?
They're all like that.
Oh.
Yeah, if you pull the salmon up, it's basically the reverse. It's got black fill on the salmon one, but the salmon's got a kind of brushed linear up and down vertical.
Yeah, I like that kind of linen.
I like that.
Yeah,
there you go.
Oh, it is
See,
engraved.
the only difference there is, though, it's got a salmon matched rehot ring on it as well, which
Yeah.
I think the silver rehot ring just brings it in. I think that's
Sure.
lovely, don't get me wrong, but the black dial one just is absolutely killing it.
Yeah,
No,
that rehot, the rehot does make a big difference, doesn't it?
Yeah, and that's
Oh,
quite
that's
classy as well. Bit boring,
Sam.
but the Sam definitely black number one by a long way. Then the salmon one. This silver one, the blue hands do nothing for me on that one. I think if they'd left it with black hands, it would have been much nicer.
Man, in addition to being a watch freak, I'm a strap freak. This is starting to make me like that sort of gray alligator print. That is a good looking strap.
Yeah.
That looks like the strap they used on the Grey Side of the Moon Speedmasters,
Yes.
which is a very, very nice strap.
Also, Montblanc use it on their heritage line. The salmon dialed heritage line's got kind of that grey alligator print strap on it as well. It does work very well as a neutral strap colour.
My wife's going to see another strap shipment coming to the house.
Before I go on to mine, Pete, did you have another selection, or were you dropped the mic on the Breitling?
I pretty much dropped the mic on the Breitling, and I was the one that made me start thinking that we should probably cover it was the Longines HydroConquest that someone else has already brought up. So I don't have anything else.
Awesome. Yeah, no worries at all. So, well, my next one is another watch that I've got in for review. It's
great looking.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, this I won't be able to capture it in light, but it's almost. I want to say I keep thinking of calling it electric blue, but electric blue is not right. It's a
teal
sort of. Yes, but it's like a neon. It's like it's sort of like quite a neon-y color. It's really actually really cool dial. I don't know quite how they've got the color, but I think it's quite hard to see here in person. It looks. I suppose the picture online is not too bad, but it doesn't do the orange GMT hand many favors. But yeah, and it's got the new bracelet on it as well, which is actually it's actually a butterfly clasp. Yeah. So much more refined bracelet, which I think suits the case wonderfully. And of course, with that blue dial now, and this is the first time I've seen one of these Sealander GMTs, and it looks, even though a lot of people are like, oh, it looks like a homage to a Explorer 2, it looks nothing in person. It looks absolutely nothing like it, except for obviously
it is. And CW admitted it was inspired by the Explorer, but it's not a homage in the pejorative sense. They've taken the idea of the Rolex and made it their own, which is what what you're supposed to do. They're very, 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 very nice watches. The Sealander.
Yeah,
a lot of people say it looks more like the Grand Seiko GMT.
Yeah, it does.
Than the
more like that than the Explorer for sure.
Yeah. They've done an excellent job of this. I'll be dropping. I've got to send this back as well. I'll be dropping a review, and hopefully trying to get Mike back on the channel for another big announcement that they've got, which I can't divulge. Okay, then going back round to. Mark, here's yours. Was this the one, the Super Racing?
Oof.
Well, the Super Racing is what I might aspire to, but that does remind me very much of the Breitling 46, which is the one I was hoping that you'd pull up.
Okay.
Breitling produced a 46. It's a 46 mil chronograph this week. That looks very much like a Speedmaster, and I first saw it and I went, what Omega is that? Oh, it's a Breitling. Really? It's a Breitling? It's our three sub dial 40. I think it's 46 chronograph.
My keyboard died, so if you've got the link, it's all going off. All technical issues today. My keyboard just died.
Sam is struggling.
I am. But if anybody else has got it, if you put the link in the old private chat, I'll pull it up. But I thought I must have misread your comment in the.
No, I mean this was announced. The Super Racing, which let's talk about it since it's on the screen, was announced in March. They were the Omega boutiques were supposed to be starting to ask for deposits for in August, and I'm just wondering if they're still on track.
Oh, wow.
Because this
Nice
is not
pun there. No one picked up on it, Mark.
Oh, nice. Oh, they're still on track. Okay.
Yeah. Well, but yeah, this is going to be a very exciting watch for the 10 people in the world who actually buy it.
Dave's already got it on a wait list.
He's probably already got one.
Oh no, is he reaching for it?
which is if he has, I shall not be happy.
Is that the Spyrate one?
Yes,
Sorry?
that's the
Spyrate regulation. Yeah,
isn't that like 32 millimeters thick or something?
No,
if you take the glass and everything out of it, yes, it is.
Yeah, I thought it was. I remember looking at this when it came out.
It's pretty chunky. It's pretty chunky.
Yeah, I mean, clearly not 30 something, but it's like 18 or something like that thick.
My Seamaster chronograph is 17.8 millimeters, so it wouldn't be out of the question for it to be
It says it's 14.9 here though, but maybe it's not taking into account the crystal and stuff.
It's going to be chunky, but a lot of Omega chronographs are chunky.
Yeah, you've got me fascinated though, Mark. I mean, I watch Breitling pretty tightly, and I can't remember them releasing a 46 millimeter chrono in years.
It was either monochrome or Fratello. I thought it could have just been me imagining it. If I find it, I'll let you know.
They did release a solid gold top time if you really like that look, but yeah, I don't think they've released anything else.
Okay, it's my imagination. It was a fever dream, Pete. I thought I thought I was going to buy a Breitling and join the club.
Okay, well, next up then, Todd, something a bit more affordable, or a lot more affordable. This is the Square Swatch.
These keep coming up in my Facebook feed, and I am starting to really think this is going to be an addition to the collection. And the one I like the best is the one that Mark is going to hate because it's gray and it has Roman numerals, but it's a good-looking watch.
Oh, does it?
But there's a gray one, yeah. Because that one,
oh wow,
from a distance, it's got like Nomos vibes, and I don't know. There's just everything about this is like very cool to me.
Yeah,
they're super nice.
And $110,
Yeah, and that's they put like a mini watch or a depiction of a watch on the back. The battery.
So it's so they're 33 mil square, so it's a nice size. Basically, in fact, exactly the same size as, funnily enough, the Nomos Tetra 33, which is very much the same size as it. Nice little features. You can see it in some of the pictures, like I say the crystal, but it's plastic. If you look on the side view of it, you see the crystal, the kind of half the side of it's crystal as well. It's like a box crystal, which is super nice. Cool. And the little battery cover in the back, that is a picture of the dial. So basically, back in the very start of Swatch, they didn't know whether they were going to be square or round or whatever, and they played around with the idea of they might have square, they might have round, and they went with round. And the picture on the back is the depiction of the original round one's dial that these took, like, effectively inspiration for. If we had gone square and used the dials that we originally used, this is what it would look like.
Now that is actually pretty cool, isn't it? The way that they've done that. Ooh, donuts.
True American.
Getting hungry. We've converted him, Pete. He's a full American now.
Awesome.
They're super nice. So for the money, they're a bargain.
Yeah.
Very, very cool watch.
Awesome. No, that was another great pick. So that's your last one, and then we've got Dave, your last one up here, which is a winner straight off.
Oof.
Oh yes.
Oh yeah. This case is so cool.
It's an absolute winner. They've only used this case to date, pre this watch, in special edition or limited editions. So they did the Lion, which the original line, which was a kind of a much more brownish greenish lion mane texture, and they did same as this. They did a time date one, and they also did a chronograph version, and they did probably the most famous one in this case shape was the Godzilla, which had the red kind of dial on it as well. Titanium case, titanium bracelet, lots of faceting on it. This could be nothing other than Grand Seiko. You know, like nobody else does that kind of amount of faceting on a case. Lots of Zaratsu polishing on it, which in titanium is a pretty tough ask because it does burr quite easily and you get kind of ripples in it. So it's an absolute cracker. It is at the punchier end of the kind of Grand Seiko sports price points, just pushing into the 5 figures. But this release is a good 3 or 4 grand less than any of the special editions that have been out so far. So it does bring it into I'm not going to say affordable, but a lower price point than this case has ever been kind of featured at before. It's an absolute cracker.
Yeah.
Spring drive in here as well.
I heard you talk about this on the podcast, Dave. So I went and had a look and went, oh, can I stretch?
Yeah, exactly.
I do like this watch. And clearly some people that did not get the memo about apparently we're all supposed to like small watches these days.
Yeah, and the thing about it is, though, although I think it's like 44 mil, it's big. It's lugless. Well, it's not, but it's effectively lugless if you look at it from the front. So it's a 44 that actually wears like a 44, and it doesn't. You know, most 44s, the problem with them is they wear big. This doesn't wear. I mean, it's not petite on the wrist by any stretch of the imagination, but it's not a big watch on the wrist. And also with it being titanium, it's pretty light as well. You get an absolutely cracking dial on there. You get that sapphire bezel as well, the sapphire coated bezel. It's just an absolute blinder. Don't get me wrong, it's still not inexpensive by any stretch.
I'm getting Dire Star vibes. Very Dire Star vibes. Rado Dire Star vibes.
The thing that just drives me crazy.
Just for the faceting on the case.
It drives me crazy. The placement of that power reserve indicator just always makes me nuts. And I don't know why, especially a company that's so focused on design, they can't find a more symmetrical way to handle that or deal with it. You know, if you tipped it 45 degrees and put it right above the 6, like it would be a meter, I feel like it would look great. That makes me nuts the way it sits there.
Where's yours, Sam?
Yeah, mine's at the Todd zone, the Todd disappointment zone.
Yeah.
I actually think it's quite deliberate to not be symmetrical. They just do it so often that I can't imagine that they've said we are not going to make this symmetrical. The asymmetry is the point.
Makes me crazy.
Yeah.
You're back to Wabi Sabi from the start of the show.
It's
a deliberate move away from perfection.
This is my date flag for Sam.
Yeah, I read someone an article which was talking about why symmetry shouldn't be on watches, and they were arguing that symmetry basically visually denotes stasis, being still, and time is never still. And so you should be trying to have an element of asymmetry in every watch to demonstrate that you're moving forward, that you're not stopped. So that's the visual thinking.
Those people are overthinking it.
If it's not worth overthinking, this is my view. If it's not worth overthinking, it's not worth thinking about.
Exactly.
Okay, Pete, you came in under the wire. Is this the one that Mark was talking about?
No, but it's a good one.
No. If you do go to that collection, go to the one on the left.
This one
is the new one. Yeah, that one. So that's the new one that just dropped. Interestingly, the Top Time collection was originally back in the 60s when it was created, was about creating a slightly cheaper, slightly more casual, fun entry level into the brand. So how better to sort of encapsulate that sort of ethos by coming up with, what in Australia is a $28,000 solid gold piece.
That might actually have been the one I was thinking of, because it does look very much like a Speedmaster if you're not paying attention.
Really?
But black dial, 3 subdials, gold hands. I don't know what Speedmaster it is, but it's got definite Speedmaster professional vibes.
For me, what you're talking about
German
now,
flag.
right now, what I would say is this is a perfect case of how neural training happens. In that I don't spend a lot of time looking at omegas, and so I haven't trained myself to see omegas. So I don't see any omega in this, but I do see I've got like about 3 top times going back to the 60s, and this just looks like a top time.
Whereas I don't spend any time looking at Breitling, therefore I've called it an omega.
Yeah. Going on a slight diverge for a second, that's why I don't think I see a Daytona in the Zenith Chronosport, because I actively make sure I don't see too many Rolexes. If you've got a lot of Rolex in your feed, I don't follow you on Instagram or anything.
Thing is, it's only now I'm looking at it in more detail that I can see that the subdials aren't round.
Yeah.
Which means it can't be an omega. It's got to be something else.
Yeah. And that's a little bit like with the Zenith. It's like when you slow down and you look more careful, you go, oh, hang on, this can't possibly be a Daytona. Yeah. But that quick, instantaneous kind of, I got a rough idea of the shape. My brain filled in the rest before I even looked. But I think it's a really handsome watch. Breitling do these occasionally where they come out with a line and then, drop a solid gold one on the top. I don't think they'll sell many, but it's there. It's quite handsome. And the only reason I brought it up was because I thought maybe it was the one that Mark might have had in mind.
It was. That's a great looking watch.
I think it's 40-ish millimeters, 13-ish thick. It's just a nice looking watch.
Yeah, and this is the kind of watch drama we get up to on this channel. Does the top time look like the Speedmaster?
Yeah. Well, I had the dumbest comment on one of my videos recently where someone was getting really angry at Tag for not saying that the Carrera was named after the Porsche. And then when I pointed out that that would be tricky because the Carrera was out 10 years before the Porsche started using the word Carrera, he got very angry with me.
Yes, don't let the facts get in the way of a good story or whatever. Okay, and then my last one then, bringing it home. I had to bring it up because I've had a run of doing G-Shocks, but I mean, look at these. The Coca-Cola, this one in particular, because as far as I can tell, this one will be just totally illegible. But this one is cool because they've made it look like a Coke bottle, the green glass. I don't know.
Here we go, Pete.
Oh,
Coca-Cola and donuts. He's in.
I'm all in. But the green LCD, who thought that was a good idea? Do you know what I mean? I mean, it's clearly going to be highly illegible. It's the same person who developed the completely transparent LCD, I presume. Everyone's gone on holiday.
I like that. I do like that green kind of jelly look. I mean, it's kind of cool.
Yeah.
I don't know how I feel about Coca-Cola branding at the top.
Yeah, this is that other one with the transparent LCD dial. I don't know what they're thinking here.
Oh yeah.
Anyway,
that one's crazy.
There you go. Well, that was my final one. Well, yeah. So there we go. We perfectly at the hour. Thanks everyone for being so active in the comments section. There.
That was a good fun one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks to the panel. Thanks, podcasters, you saved the day with my microphone audio. Thanks everyone for watching. Thank you for the very generous super chats. And if you're watching this after, you can use a super thanks down below. And we'll see you. We'll see you all next time on Casual Watch Talk. Thanks everyone.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.